You are standing in a line. Your phone is at 1%. 30 seconds pass. You feel it rising in your chest like a small alarm. You reach for your pocket anyway, out of habit, and find nothing there to save you. That feeling has a name. Scientists call it boredom. But what if that feeling is not a malfunction? What if it is one of the most important tools your brain has ever built? For most of human history, boredom had nowhere to hide. There was no scroll to escape into. There was only the fire, the horizon, and the long, uncut hours of being alive. So what actually is boredom? Dr. John Eastwood, a psychologist at York University, defines boredom as the uncomfortable feeling of wanting to be engaged in a satisfying activity, but being unable to. Notice what that means. Your brain is not empty when you are bored. It is starving for direction and finding none. Like hunger tells you to find food, boredom tells you to find meaning. For 200,000 years, that signal worked exactly as designed. Picture an early human at the edge of a savanna. The hunting is done. The gathering is done. There is nothing left to do, and nothing to fill the gap. So the mind wanders. It replays the shape of a broken spear. It imagines a better way to lash the stone to the wood. None of this was forced. It happened because boredom pushed the mind to go looking, and the only things left to explore were the world itself and the inside of one's own skull. Boredom did not slow evolution down. It may have sped it up. Necessity is often called the mother of invention, but necessity explains why you build a spear. It does not explain why you improve it before your life depends on the improvement. Boredom explains that part. Now here is the twist. Your brain today is running the exact same boredom software. The circuitry has not changed in 200,000 years, but the world around it has changed completely. You used to face boredom a few times a week. Now you face it dozens of times a day, in gaps as short as 4 seconds. And you carry a device built to close that gap before you ever feel it. Dr. Sandy Mann, a psychologist at the University of Central Lancashire, ran a study that quietly overturned decades of assumptions. She had people complete a mundane task, like copying numbers from a phone book, before asking them to invent creative uses for a plastic cup. The bored group generated more original ideas than the group that skipped the boring task. Being bored first did not damage their creativity, it fed it. Boredom expands your scope for thinking because a mind denied stimulation starts generating its own. That is the mechanism your ancestors relied on without ever naming it. And it is the mechanism modern life keeps interrupting. Think about the last time you let yourself be bored on purpose. Not bored while holding a phone. Not bored with a show playing quietly in the background. Actually bored with nothing between you and your own thoughts. For most people, that memory is old. Somewhere between then and now, that space got filled in. Not by you, by design. Dr. Erin Westgate studies why people find their own thoughts difficult to sit with. In one experiment, participants were left alone in a room with nothing to do but think for as little as 6 minutes. Many rated it unpleasant. Some, given the option, chose a mild electric shock over sitting with their own unoccupied mind. That was not a strange group of outliers. That was an ordinary sample of adults, doing what you might do if placed in that same quiet room today. So the question is not whether boredom feels bad. It does, and it was designed to. The question is what you do the moment it arrives. Your ancestors had no choice but to let boredom run its full course. There was nothing to interrupt it with. So it pushed them outward, toward better tools and better ways of reading the sky. It pushed them inward too, toward the earliest art, the scratches on cave walls that served no survival function at all, except that a bored mind wanted to make something and had the time to do it. You inherited that same restless machinery. It is still in you, right now, waiting for the gap. The difference is that your world has learned to close the gap before the machinery can switch on. Boredom was never the enemy. It was the ignition. Every tool you have ever used, every story you have ever loved, likely started in a stretch of time that looked, from the outside, like nothing was happening at all. So tonight, when the gap opens again, before you reach for the device built to close it for you, try leaving it open instead, just long enough to feel the old signal switch on. The one that has been rising in the back of your skull for 200,000 years, quietly asking the same question it has always asked. What are you going to make of this?